In November of 2019, a small team of chefs, mixologists, and designers set out to open a restaurant for one night only, tucked within the woods of a sugarcane plantation. Driven by a collective desire to create the extraordinary from the everyday, they'll combine sustainably sourced local ingredients with the handcrafted legacy of Roca Patrón. Together, they're going.
Food is all about memory, just like a smell or music. I mean, it's all about a memory. I'm always trying to create great memories for people in a little tiny way, even if it's just in a moment. That's sort of the adventure part of cooking.
There is a story in every glass. There's a story in every visit. It's just like the best part of it, being behind the bar. It's part of all these little stories.
As a kid, food was always just a part of everyday life, but in I think a bigger way than it was for a lot of American kids. When I would come home from school and my mom would say, you know, you have an hour of TV that you can watch, I would watch great chefs or like Graham Kerr or, you know, Julia Child. And I think that because of that, I always just had an appreciation for food.
I was in the kitchen for 6 years before I moved to the front of the house, behind the bar. I thought I knew hospitality before I moved here. And then I started working at R&O's, and then just like, you know, my mind was blown. The possibilities you can do for guests when they like travel into your bar is pretty amazing.
Nowadays, the options are much bigger. In order to be a chef, you don't necessarily have to have a restaurant attached to your name. I mean, even this is a great example of, you know, a chef that doesn't currently have an actual restaurant, but I'm still able to represent myself, my food, what I do in a way that makes sense. I'm more of an ingredient-focused chef. I'm less of a technique-focused chef. I didn't go to culinary school. I don't have a French training background. I'm much more artistic and hands-on. I don't like when food feels like it's been touched a whole lot. I don't want to see a lot of intentional dots or things like that. It should feel like it just fell from heaven, like perfectly from heaven. But that ultimately the first thing they want to do is eat it. Because that's what it's for, is to eat.
We wanted to create a tavern that could exist now and 150 years ago, because there are a lot of places that aren't really like that in the quarter. Bourbon Street has its place, but we wanted like a off the beaten path place where people can walk in, come with friends and just like commiserate over a cocktail, beer, some food. Keeping that nice balance between the old and new is how I've been able to approach bartending, and it's been pretty successful. And that's how I teach all the bartenders who work for me, both at French 75 for 15 years and here. It's like, yeah, everything has to be kind of like cutting edge and like new and this and that, but I mean, look around you, this is beautiful. Several cultures making up one amazing culture here in New Orleans. We have our own soundtrack, the backdrop's amazing, you know, all of our architecture.
I care more about representing this place than I do representing myself. I want to make sure that I'm respecting New Orleans, Louisiana, the food culture from here, and the foods from here. Getting to use incredible American, sustainable wild seafood. That's something that I am very passionate about, is sustainability and seafood in particular. And so that's something that I really love and respect about this place too, is that, you know, it's one of the only places in the US that has a plethora of incredible, sustainable wild seafood. People don't always remember that seafood is seasonal as well, just like produce is seasonal. So we have to be very vigilant to remember that what was okay today might not be okay tomorrow. I mean, we're the top of the food chain. So it's our responsibility really for the whole entire planet to be responsible and make smart choices about what we do.
The cocktail history in New Orleans goes back to the late 1700s. You know, I found newspapers from 1803 that had bitters recipes on the front page. So like you look at the front page and there's a recipe for bitters, and it's like the whole, you know, spoonful of sugar helps the medicine go down. It's like that's what they were doing, you know, so they were tied with coffee shops. The original Jewel of the South created the first cocktail using a single use of juice instead of punch. So that all started here. We do more than just create drinks, we kind of hijacked some as well. We're making the homemade ingredients. You couldn't buy Flornum or allspice dram or orgeat. I realized it's like, oh, well, just because they don't make it doesn't mean you can't make the drink. You just go home and you make the syrups and cordials. So it was really exciting for both me and the guests because they feel like they can only get it there, and they're having like, you know, an amazing, unique experience. And I just realized the ritual of actually just like being in the restaurant, even though I'm only in the bar, I still like the feeling of like cooking while I'm here, because it just makes you feel like you're doing a little bit more for the experience, both for yourself and for the guests as well. For the secret supper, I was really excited about using Rocco for each cocktail. I was happy to juice, you know, everything at home to make the verdita and then finish up the watermelon shrub. But even the stirred cocktail at the end is going to be really nice. It's more of an old-fashioned, but the Rocco is going to come out in each drink.
I've never come up with a concept before having a location. The place will kind of speak to you about what is needed there. I try not to overplan it too much. I'll do a sketch, which is just that, it's a sketch. I also think it's a great way to teach somebody your vision as opposed to just using your words, which can be confused. Whereas if you actually have a drawing, you can really talk about the dish and what you're envisioning. I think it really helps. So it's sort of a way to focus the thought, and then I like to really be open to the ingredient and to the feel of what's going on in that moment.
Just outside of New Orleans on a beautiful old sugarcane plantation. Just being able to be here, immersed in this, and just settle in. You can't really see much around you except for these trees, and I just feel like it's going to be a really special, intimate moment for the table and for our guests. I let the place influence exactly what's going to be in the design. I want the table to feel like it should be there, to let everything make sense and not have the table stand out more than the location and the food stand out more than the table. Everything should be super cohesive.
It's just a beautiful city. You know, the joy to be walking around, coming in with like friends, and like as soon as you open the door, there's like a buzz in the room. You're next to like another group having just as much fun. It's also exciting to be on the other side. You know, the reason why they come, creating local ties and traditions because the city is built on them.
When you're an artist, you're sort of always exploring what is beautiful. I don't ever want to be stagnant. I don't ever want to stop learning. I don't ever want to think I have it figured out. I want to always be able to be open and try new things.